What's poppin', homies? It's your favorite homegirl, Gossip Girl, and today I want to talk about a blast from the past, meaning history is starting to repeat itself. Now, we all know that New York City crime has always been just that. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing new. It's nothing different. The crime go up, the crime go down, but it's always been crime in New York City, and we cannot even like front on that. But I just my homegirl hit me up and she was like, yo, check this out. Graffiti on the train on the 6 lines. So I was like, what? So when she sent me the link, I was reading it. I'm like, okay. I didn't feel any kind of way about it. Well, what I did was I went and looked at some of the comments that was made. And you know what? People always saying, oh my God, this makes the city look bad. Makes the city look terrible. This is horrible. Graffiti is art. Okay? Graffiti is art. Graffiti is art that the artist is expressing him or herself. Okay? Let me tell you why people are against graffiti. If they can't control it and can't make money from it, then they want to take it from you. That's just how it is. I think what's happening, I think a Wild Styles 2020 needs to be made because it's coming back. Now, where was security? Where was security when this was happening? How did the artist tag or spray paint 24 trains and got away with it? Now, it looks beautiful. I like it. You know, I grew up in an era where the trains inside, yeah, they did look kind of crazy. It was tagged. It was all kind of stuff. But it never made me feel unsafe. You know, it's just a way of things people was doing to express themselves and to let them know, hey, this is where I'm from. Now, I'm not going to front. I did a few tagging myself. I'm not going to even lie. I'm not. I tagged a few places in Brooklyn and in the Bronx myself. But it wasn't like an everyday thing for me because my mother was on my behind. You know, she wanted to know my every move, so I couldn't do it like how my friends was doing it. But I think the way they did it now, I think it's nice. And I think instead of them trying to pay people to cover it up, I think they need to leave it. If they were smart, they would collab with the artists, okay, and say, hey, well, we'll pay you this just to have a few trains painted up, you know, graffiti, and we'll pay you. I mean, I'm not going to say all the trains, but I think every line should have at least 2 or 3 trains or maybe one train that has graffiti on it because that is part of New York City's history, just like with hip hop and everything else. So when you think about New York City, and if you grew up there, you think about hip hop, you think about graffiti, you think about a whole bunch of, you know, the fashion and everything else. So I don't think they need to make a big deal about it. Of course, again, we have an older generation. Oh my God, is messing up the train system and is looking horrible. It doesn't look horrible. As a matter of fact, it looked better than when I was growing up. Okay, so I think they should leave it. Don't pay anybody to cover it up. You know, it's just history repeating itself. And I bet you some of the people who are doing the graffiti are the kids of the parents who did it back in the day, probably. You just never know. But, you know, if the city feel like if they don't make money from it, they don't want you doing it. And there is a place in Brooklyn. Let me see what street is that on? Oh my God, is it Lorimer? No, what street is that? It's on the L line. It's a street over there where there's nothing but graffiti all up and down. And it's really nice. But they paid the artists to do that. So that area, you know, they paid some of the artists to do that. But just leave it. If it's not hurting anybody, like I said, New York City, if you really want to show, you know, you New York City, you got other things to show, like the history of New York. Why don't you pay people to do 1 or 2 trains on each line, you know, graffiti on the train, and that'll be that. And that'll be part of history as well. But you know, like I said, if you can't make money from it, they don't want you doing it. But let me know if you guys, how do you feel about this? If you feel that there should be no graffiti on the trains, leave that back in the 80s, let me know in the comment section. If you feel like it's a good thing, you know, it may bring some spunk back to the New York City, let me know in the comment section as well. So I will talk to you later, and you guys have a great Saturday.